And good morning, everybody. Sorry about that opening. Keith just spilled his coffee all over his one of his pieces of paper and desk. Oh, guys, just be fortunate you're not me. Been a rough morning already. Stressful times here in the Engle residence as we're buying a new townhome and trying to get this place ready to sell and get the most we can for it. And, lots of stress in that regard. Anyway, welcome everybody. Friday morning, May 5th, our first show of May. In any regard, you can certainly catch all our shows on Northeast Streaming Sports, simulcasting on Let's Talk Sports. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Hope you're watching us on one of those outlets today, either live or on Memorex, as it were. The Mad New Yorker would not be joining me today, so we're going to I don't know. We may have a short show. I don't know what we're going to do here. I don't really want to waste all my topics that I would have argued with him about, probably in great detail. So if you guys want to drive some topics today, I'll dive into some of this stuff, but I don't want to get too repetitive either with my Major League Baseball update, which might be in jeopardy later because I got to get my wife to the doctor for a little eye procedure. So we'll see how that goes today. Anyway, today we will try to do the Major League Baseball update. I'll schedule for 3. It may be a little bit later. We'll be on with Let's Talk New York Sports with Dan Harris, my friend from the UK. He's the lead on that show, really. We'll be on at 5. And we got the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. No interview this week. We had a little issue with me and Reggie Brooks. Not issue. Reggie fell asleep and missed our time. So we'll reschedule that. We do in the next few weeks have Dick Drago. That's the end of the month. Dick Drago, former great, very good pitcher with the Kansas City Royals. More importantly, with the Red Sox, played in the 75 World Series, was an integral part of that Red Sox team. What was maybe the greatest World Series probably ever played in my mind, at least in my lifetime. And we'll have Delvin Williams, former NFL running back, who has great animosity for the NFL these days. We'll dive into why that is in that interview. And then we got some others. Dan said he's got 3 others close. One of my favorites that is coming up soon, I hope. She's traveling right now and a lot of family commitments in Texas. But Kay Mercer, the widow of my childhood hero, Bobby Mercer. I can't wait to have Kay on and talk to her about her life with Bobby and Bobby's Major League career and whatnot. So it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun to do that. So today we'll get into a little bit of Major League Baseball. Again, I may not go too deep because of the MLB update later. The NFL draft, some other stories around. I think I'll just stick to I might just stick to the NFL and the NBA this morning. You guys have topics? Bring them up. And if not, we'll go kind of short today. It's not a big deal. A lot of, I got to tell you, doing these shows is kind of a salvation for me because it's relaxing. But the stress of real life has been rough. And when you get in your 60s, you don't handle stress as well as you used to. I don't. I still compartmentalize pretty well, but not like I did. So anyway, let's talk some NFL stuff. I got a banner. I don't know if I want to use it or not, but let's see. We can talk about this because there's a couple interesting things in the NFL. We talked about the draft and who did well and who didn't. We haven't had a chance to talk about it in this show, and I really wanted to get into it with Carlos, and we probably will next week. But I think the winners, look at the Eagles did tremendous. To get to two more Georgia defenders from a great defense and get Nolan Smith at number 30 is amazing. They really get a gift in Carter. Again, look at tragic thing that happened to him. Do I think he's a bad kid? I don't think so. I don't know. But this is to me, this is almost but for the grace of God situation, go I. Everybody does stupid things at 20 years old. And with tragic outcome, it isn't. Again, I'm not excusing the behavior, obviously, but I did a lot of stupid things at that age, and we probably all did. Anyway, the Eagles make out very well. I think the Texans do a great job. I know they gave up a lot, but they got maybe a franchise quarterback and a franchise defensive game changer in Henderson. So I think the Texans did well. I thought the Patriots did well. A lot of people bashing the Patriots draft. But I can tell you, good morning, Alec. How are you? A good morning for me, a good afternoon for you. Great to have you with us. Alec, if you got any topics, we're kind of roughing it because the Mad New Yorker's not with me today, and I don't know that I want to waste all my topics. I'm going to talk some NFL odds and ends and probably some NBA playoffs. I may skip. We'll talk a little baseball if people want to get into it, but if you got some topics you want to talk about, Alec, throw them out there. I'll even invite you on the show if you want to come. I'll post a link if you want to pop in, and you and I can have a quick conversation, Alec. I wouldn't mind doing that at all either. That's certainly your call, and we can talk about some things that are on top of your mind. Again, without the Mad New Yorker, I don't have anybody to argue with, and I'm used to doing my shows alone. But the Sunday stream of consciousness is really driven by the audience and their comments, and we don't get as much of a live audience here at 8 o'clock. So most of it is viewed later. So it's a little different for me, especially when I'm planning a debate show and I've got to carry it myself, which is fine. We can do that because we can talk. What other bits come out of the draft? I mean, I didn't think the Lions did very good. I thought the Bears did well. Oh, I was talking about the Patriots. I thought the Patriots did well. Lots of bodies to bring in, low risk, high reward picks at wide receiver. They got maybe the best cornerback in the draft. Interestingly enough, I thought it was interesting, too, the way Belichick, and you can interpret this any way you want. I interpret it only one way. Bill Belichick saw an opportunity to tweak the frickin' Jets, and he did it again. They wanted, what's the kid's name? Isn't that awful? The memory. I keep wanting to say Broderick Perkins. I know his name is not Broderick Perkins. Broderick Jones from Georgia. The offensive tackle, really the last offensive tackle, not the last, but of the good ones. They knew the Jets wanted him. They traded down with Pittsburgh, and that probably didn't get enough. That should have been worth a third-round pick, and I think they got a fourth. Plus took a chance on missing the guy they wanted, Gonzalez. Now, they lucked out and got him. We're going to drop Alec a link, and we'll get him in here. We'll talk about the 49ers draft. We'll talk about him on ESPN. I'll drop it right in the bear with me a second here, Alec. Pop in. We've done this once before. I'll be honest with you. This kind of launched Alan. What happened? There we go. So click that link and click any one of the 10 that comes up there when I post, because every place I'm broadcasting to comes up. But we'll bring Alec in. I know Alec does some shows already, but this kind of impromptu invite kind of launched Alan Perales' career, who's now doing more shows on Let's Talk Sports than anybody, if I'm not mistaken. Good God, his lineup every day has got 5 shows. I think he tired himself out. He had to take a break. But I thought, anyway, back to the draft. I thought it was very interesting the way Belichick tweaked the Jets. And if you don't think that was a lot about the Jets as well, because, again, he could have got more. He should have got more than the pick he got. It should have been worth a third-rounder, and he didn't get that. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, they did trade with the Jets later on. To me, that doesn't really diminish the fact that, yeah, he tweaked. He tweaked them. So, and then, of course, you got the Aaron Rodgers saga. He brings in another player. We're going to have the Green Bay Packers East here in the Jetland pretty soon. I liked Randall Cobb, but Randall Cobb's days are done. I mean, where's he even get on the field here? How does he even get on the field? Who's he going to get catches or playing time in front of with the Jets? So listen, this whole NFL season is going to be very interesting. The AFC East, the NFC East is going to be very, very strong. The Patriots, I could see any one of those teams winning. I can see any one of those teams losing in the AFC East. The NFC East, very strong as well. The Eagles are probably still, ahead above everybody else, and because they've just gotten better. I like to trade for Swift, by the way. I did get hoodwinked into think they traded for Aaron Eckler. I don't know how that happened. Excuse me. There was a lot of rumors draft day about trades. That was one of them that I fell for. I didn't fall for the one about Hopkins and I think the 11th pick going to Tennessee for the 3rd pick. Or no, not that. That wasn't it. The other way around. Arizona trading Hopkins in the 3rd pick to Tennessee for their pick. I didn't see that happening. And it was reported as a done deal. He's got to get better information, right? And I got to be better about not falling into that trap myself. So, what else did I like? I think, again, I'll harp on this one more time. Anthony Richardson going at 4 and Will Levis going at whatever, 20, I'm sorry, not 20, 30 something is crazy. He falls into a good spot probably in Tennessee, but whatever. Let's bring our new friend Alec in. Good morning, Alec.
Good morning. I'm not fully set up as such, so I apologize if the sound's not brilliant.
It sounds fine. You're doing fine. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you? I'm on my sneaky lunch break, so.
Well, yeah, I've had a few of those here and there too myself. So especially during COVID, it was easy to kind of, hide for an hour if I had to. If you had a run or something, I get it. So you're already on Let's Talk Sports on some shows, but it's funny. The last time I did this, because Carlos was a no-show, Alan came on my show and launched his career. He'd never been on. He was nervous as hell that day. And we had a lot of fun, and he's doing really well since then, obviously. So welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's talk. Get much, since we're talking about the NFL, and I've talked a lot the last week or so about my thoughts. Anthony Richardson, I don't understand it. Will Levis, I get why he might have dropped. What are your thoughts overall? And including your team, the 49ers, what are your thoughts overall?
On the 49ers, I think it's a much of a needed draft. We drafted on need, like kicker, needed a kicker. We needed cornerback help. We needed depth. So it's one of those drafts. It will never be a spontaneous, amazing draft because it's just drafted on need. I think that's a bit of the Patriots as well. They just drafted on need and what they took. They needed guard. They need help.
Depth. And they need to get athletic. The Patriots needed more athletes, and that's what they did here. They got some really good athletes. And, there's some risk there, but I think the reward is higher than the risk for some of these guys.
Yeah. And I think that's, and the NFL kind of, the columnists and the analysts will rate you low on that because you're just drafting on need. You're not drafting on splashy stuff. So yeah, I kind of take it as a pinch of salt. I do love what the Texans have done. I think they've gone all in on rebuild, and I love that.
I think the price they paid was well worth it to get the two guys. I mean, they wanted Henderson. I think they were afraid not to take the quarterback there. And I still think if they don't have that trade in their back pocket, they don't take CJ Stroud there. I think they would have taken Henderson.
Better player. I was worried that he might drop to the Seahawks with the way it was coming down. I was a bit I don't want him going to the Seahawks.
What were your other surprises here? And I do have another 49er questions for sure. But any other general thoughts that you have? Anthony Richardson. Give me your thoughts on Anthony Richardson. I don't get it. I know he's a freakish athlete, but freakish athlete doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to win in the NFL. What I did in college.
I think he's probably going to land in the wrong spot there.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they've got time to. He needed to go kind of early second round to a team or late first round to a team that can kind of coach him in and give him the time that Love's had in Green Bay. To be honest, I think that would have worked.
That might have been a good spot, actually. You're right. And I, if I'm not mistaken, Jim Irsay said he'll be the starter, which, again, that's, at least make him earn the job or pretend to earn the job in camp. I wouldn't just anoint him.
That's what I kind of had a few draft shows with Let's Talk Sports, and that was kind of one of the conversations. Oh, will he start? And everyone's like, no, he won't start. And I was like, he will, because that's a franchise that needs a starting quarterback. So why would they? The fan base will just get upset if they don't start him.
I mean, who else is there? Nick Foles. He only wins when he comes to Philadelphia every 4 years, right? I mean, he's like Haley's Comet. He comes around to Philadelphia every 7 years. I don't know how. I know Haley's Comet comes around more than that or less than that, but probably not the best analogy. But he doesn't win anywhere but Philadelphia, so they are stuck probably playing him, and it won't help him with his development. Some guys now, and I've been a big proponent of this. Some guys come to the league NFL ready, and they should play. Why waste a year? I said that with Mac Jones. Why waste a year? Now, his second year ended up not being so good, but not his fault. Doesn't work with other guys. Zach Wilson, it didn't work for. He probably should have sat. But then you see guys like Brock Purdy come out of nowhere when he should have got no business playing. So the NFL is a weird place, man.
That's all about game, though. I think the Brock Purdy one is all about game time, the amount of games he played. And I think the NFL is starting to realize, or scouts are starting to realize, that gameplay works. Like if you played enough games, then you should be playing in the NFL as a starting quarterback. So it was interesting to see Will Levis.
What's his situation, by the way, Purdy? Is he going to miss the early part of the season?
Yeah. I love being a 49ers fan and having QB controversy. I just love it. It's part of the off season. I think he'll start on pump, injured reserve, week 5, week 7. Yeah. I can't see him starting. I think Trey Lance will start. I think this Sam Darnold nonsense that's going on, I don't think that'll happen. But
I can't see that happen if they want to be serious contenders. I mean, this is a team they were an injury away from probably being in a Super Bowl. I think they would have beat the Eagles that day. I really do. I like them a lot. And
I think we would have beat the Eagles. I don't think we would have been an honest 49ers fan. I don't think we would have beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, probably not. I probably would have still liked the Chiefs in that game. But you talked about quarterback news or controversy with the 49ers. Your name got thrown around, at least here in New York, a lot the last 2 weeks before the Rodgers to the Jets trade finally happened. Do you think it was serious, or was this Green Bay trying to show there was somebody else maybe interested?
I think there's a bit of gamesmanship there with Matt LaFleur and kind of the Kyle Shanahan thing, and Kyle's been after him. And I'd love to know that relationship now after, I think it was last season or the season before, when we went to go for him and Matt LaFleur got the Mardis with Kyle because he didn't approach Kyle, John Lynch did it.
Yeah.
So I think Rodgers was always going there. It was just about the price to pay. And I don't think we could have afforded him.
I think so too. And listen, not being a Jet fan by any stretch of imagination, but I find myself when I'm on with Dan on Let's Talk Sports, I'm defending the Jets and the Giants all the time. And I hate it, but I feel like I have to because their fans are just like nuclear about everything.
That's such an interesting division this year, though. Like I kind of look at all those teams are 9-win teams.
Yeah, I think I said it just before you came on here that I could see any of those teams finishing first. I can see any of them finishing last because everybody's really. I mean, I got it. Who was I on with? Robert Butler the other night, and the Patriots and whatever book he was looking at, sports book, were 7.5 over under, and I'm like, I'm betting that all day long. They're not going to be that bad. Bill O'Brien alone brings them to 9 wins. They should have won. They won 8 games last year. They should have won 10. Just games they gave away. And that doesn't even include how bad the offense was the rest of the season because of the ridiculous situation our head coach put the coaching staff and the offense in with that setup. I mean, that's a good division. And the Jets, to kind of finish where I started here, I'm kind of off my stream of consciousness show here today. I'm all over the place. I think it's worth the gamble for Will Rogers. I'm having a great morning. Aren't I? I need more coffee. Will Rogers. He is far from Will Rogers, by the way. Aaron Rodgers. I think it's worth the gamble. There's a 2-year window here. The team's good enough. The defense is good enough to win now. And I think it's worth the gamble. It could blow up in their face because he's a nut job, but I think it's worth the gamble.
And I also think he loves the New York media.
Well, that's my wonder is how he will. He loves them when he's not playing here. It's a little different when you're playing here. So I wonder how that'll all play out with his personality. It's really weird. I made an analogy Sunday, and I think you were on. I made an analogy. You watch Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I love Ted Lasso. Just finishing the 3rd season now.
Great show. Don't you see the whole Zava thing I was referring to Sunday? This is like Zava coming to Richmond, Rodgers coming to the Jets. He's going to start spewing all this nonsense that makes no sense, and the guys are going to look at him funny, but if they win, it won't matter. So
yeah. I like that. I think it'll work, but I don't think it'll work for 2 seasons. I only think it'll work for 1.
Yeah, it's still worth it for them. If they win a championship, it's well worth it, no matter what happens. But that's still a stretch, right? I mean, there's still some good teams they got to get
Can
by.
they beat the Chiefs?
And the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs are. I said last year people were writing them off. I said to paraphrase or maybe quote Mark Twain, the reports of the Chiefs' death were greatly exaggerated because they were a good team. That wasn't a surprise to me that they won the division and won the. They're a flawed team, but everybody's a flawed team today. I get into it with Carlos all the time. They're not in whatever. It doesn't matter the sport we're talking about, but football specifically, they're not deep enough. They're not deep enough. Nobody's deep enough.
No.
The salary cap and the money you're paying the stars.
You can't be a complete team in the NFL.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to raise the salary cap to $500 million. I mean, then you can, but then you're going to have a lot of bad teams, of course, too. But what else did I want to chat about here early? I mean, who do you think who do you have as a big winners here? Mine, I said the Texans. I said the Eagles. I did like the Patriots draft. And as losers, everybody I thought was in the middle, other than a couple of teams. Didn't do bad, didn't do terrible. I didn't like the Lions draft. They're probably the one team I would say.
I thought the draft was quite deep in terms of deep in okay talent as well. Like everything I come back with and everyone that was talked to on the shows and stuff, they all said the draft was deep in just okay talent. So I think you can never say that anyone's done really, really bad in this.
That's why so many trades, I think, too, because people like Bill Belichick, wouldn't have been shocked if he had traded right out of the first round. I think if he didn't get Gonzalez at 17, he would have traded back again and maybe even got out of the first round because you're right. And I said the same thing. The draft was deep in good players, but not great players that are worth paying first round money to. That's why teams were, that's why the wide receivers all dropped. Nobody wanted to pay those guys, top 15 money.
I think the Seahawks had a good draft as well. I think that's a surprising draft. They covered a lot of needs. Took Witherspoon off the board as well. Good cornerback, physical cornerback as well. So I think they had a really good draft.
Yeah, there was
from the Seahawks fan.
That was a good pick, and that was somebody the Patriots had hoped would fall to 14 because I know they had their eye on him. But I was a little shocked he went that soon. But he probably is the best prospect at cornerback in the draft. And Gonzalez, I think, is a top 10 draft pick. So I do think they got value there.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that the Patriots will compete this year? Do you think they will compete with it this year? Or do you think kind of they're just going to be a middle of the road team? I
do. I mean, that's probably at this point, this is probably more my heart than my head. I do think just fixing the offense with a guy who really knows offense and Bill O'Brien. He had his problems as a head coach. Actually, he had some good years in Houston. He just couldn't win playoff games. But he didn't have really bad teams till the end. And he'd been here before. He knows the building. He knows what Belichick expects. And by all accounts, Belichick's going to give him as much as you can have free reign under Bill Belichick. He's going to have it. And you saw that with him bringing in Clem to run the offensive line, which they've kind of wanted him. Dante Scarnecchia, who's a legend in the Patriot circles, coached the offensive line for decades, among other jobs. He's been telling the team to bring in Clem for like 5 years, and now he's here. And I think that will help the offensive line. And Bill O'Brien is just a good offensive mind, and I think he will get Mac Jones back on track. Question will be, can Thornton progress at wide receiver? Can Parker overcome some of the injury issues and whatever other issues he has? Because that guy's underperforms like crazy. And will one of these young wide receivers step up? Because I like the running game. I love Stevenson a lot.
You took a wide receiver off us, Kendrick Bourne, and he's just disappeared. I know there was rumors that he missed a did he miss a practice, miss a meeting or something preseason?
Early on, he put himself in a doghouse, and week in and week out, I would say you have to get Kendrick Bourne more involved in this offense because he's one of the he can do so much. He can run the ball. That jet sweep, he's really good on that. He can get down the field where a lot of other guys can't.
He's physical.
I do think they'll miss Jacoby Myers more than people think because he had some health issues recently, but he's a guy who just moves the chains all the time. He catches everything you throw to him. And I don't like the trade-off Schuster.
No.
I don't. So I don't like that. But I do think they'll compete. I think this will be a tough division, and they'll beat each other up. So you're right. I think 9 or 10 wins might win this division. It's not going to be 12 or 13 this year.
Definitely. And then you're kind of coming into Matt Jones then. So is it his 5th-year option at the end of this season or the following season?
The following season, I believe, yes.
So it's an important season for him as well. I kind of look at that.
Definitely. And I think the team put him in just an impossible situation. Good morning, Scott. How you doing, buddy? Speaking of the Patriots, it's going to be difficult. Middle of the road in the NFL is not a good place to be. You know what? There's a ton of teams there, too. There's a glut in the middle of the road. That's the problem. If you both remember, Kendrick Bourne carried the team 2 years ago. He did.
Yeah.
He did. When they were making a playoff push, he had some big games 2 years ago. Absolutely. And that's why I was all over the team. Get him involved last year. And I just think was part of the problem. Yes, he was in the doghouse for a while. But I also think Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, however much he was involved, who knows? They just didn't know how to use him. They didn't know how to get him involved in the offense and get him touches the way they needed to. He had a couple of decent games, but nothing that really helped the team a lot. So what else you got here, Scott? Are they going to pick up the 5th year? I think this depends a lot on what they see this year. I think so. I do think that Belichick has spent a lot of the offseason running Mac Jones down, and I really think it's just a brain. He's playing mind games with him. The whole shopping him around, I don't think he was seriously going to trade him. The whole talk, he brought Will Levis in the week before the draft. And then, the day of the draft, the day before the draft, now he's making nice and he's trying to make up. I know he wanted to punish him for going outside the organization for some advice, which is probably wrong the way he did it. But is it should he get the death penalty for that? No.
The reason I bring that up is because I did a draft show on Let's Talk Sport with Dan and everyone, and we were talking about free agent QBs in 2024, and the list is horrendous. So you got Kirk Cousins, Tannehill, Brisket, Trubisky.
Yeah, that's the top guys, right? So I wouldn't want any of those guys. I'll tell you right now. Good question, Scott, about Gesicki. He's a red zone. He'll play in a slot. He's also going to be a guy that I think they'll be able to utilize in a red zone where they had all kinds of problems last year. Their red zone offense was in the bottom third of the league at best, maybe close to the bottom. It was awful. And I think he will help in that regard as well.
And Patricia does like a tight end in his offense as well.
Exactly. And I was a little surprised Patriots didn't take a tight end in the draft. There were so many good ones. I thought that might be a place they went, but that's the one place they stayed away from. And the kicker and the punter was a little bit of a surprise, but it's also need, as you said before. Nick Folk has started to kind of show his age at the end of the year. He wasn't as reliable. He was really reliable for 2.5 years on kicks, 40 yards in. But when they had to rely on him to kick off after Bailey got hurt, their special teams just went in a toilet.
I also think kicking's changed as well in the NFL in terms of what you were getting out of college to what you're getting at now. Like you're getting a lot of kind of college are going broader. So there's a load of UK guys in college now kicking in America and American football, the same with the Aussie guys. So I think taking a kicker in the 4th round and the 5th round will start to become a little bit normal.
Yeah, I think, he wasn't even the first kicker to go. Moody went, I think, the round before, didn't he? Right? Yeah.
He did. 49ers took him.
Yeah, that was a nice pick for them. I mean, I like Robbie Gould, but he's I think he graduated a year behind me in high school. I'm pretty sure he's getting up there in age. Where else did I want to go here this morning? Let me switch. We're just going to kind of anything you want to talk about, we can certainly talk about. I do want to mention that since I was talking to you about picking a baseball team, and since you picked the Yankees, they've gone in the toilet. I just wanted to mention that on the air since I had you on here. I'm not blaming you, definitely, Alec, but there could be some correlation here. I don't know.
I was on a show with Ash, who's Dan set me up with, and he's an Orioles fan, and he was trying to convince me to go to them, and I think they're second now overall in the NBL. So
yeah, I was trying to get you on a team that wasn't doing well, so you didn't look like a bandwagon jumper or something, right? So I think I suggested the Mariners, and who was the other team I suggested for you? I don't remember. I know it wasn't the Rangers, because I like to bash the Rangers for Allen. But anyway, since you made that choice, we've been having a difficult time here. So,
well, I was obviously sticking with the 49ers. I was going to go with San Francisco Giants, but again, I watched a bit of that, and they look awful this season.
Oh, speaking of crazy people, their manager's a bit of a bit off the wall as well. But, I mean, it worked for a year for them. They had a great year 2 years ago, but I think that was all smoke and mirrors and just perfect storm. Everything came together. But that model that they have with all these platoon guys and pitchers that they want to get on the cheap and try to get high end out of them. I mean, it doesn't work year after year, and you're seeing that they're a bad baseball team now.
Yeah,
for sure.
People will stop going as well. San Francisco, the people of San Francisco are very fickle when it comes to sports and turning up to a losing team.
Yeah, with the Yankees, I did a vlog that I recorded here before I started the show today that'll play later tonight. But I just, and this is not the first time I've done a vlog about the Yankees and saying Aaron Boone has to go. I'm tired of watching Aaron Boone make horrible pitching decisions because he flips through this freaking analytics book that he's got, and he says, well, let's see, Herman's pitched 88 pitches. He's gotten to the ninth inning. No runs. We got one out. Let's go to the bullpen. Sounds like a really good idea because it says right here I should do that. Just watch the games. I mean, there's no reason to pull Herman in that spot, and that's not the first time he's done stuff like this. But that was just to me the capper Monday night. I wanted to break my TV.
Statistics don't work in sports because you're dealing with human beings. You're not dealing with robots.
Exactly. I don't understand this push to analytics, and baseball especially. I mean, that's where it's begun, and even football's gone into it, obviously, with the fourth down, the when to go for two. I mean, some of that's important, but game situation matters more than anything, right? Watch the game, and you won't make some of these stupid mistakes that you make. I just don't understand it.
Baseball's probably the perfect example because you can knock a 98 mile an hour fastball in the same. You never get it in the same spot.
Exactly. And again, I guess this I'll talk to you about because I know you're a little bit newer to baseball than you are football. But the rule changes. I've railed on the rule changes forever. The pitch clock, I'm coming around a little bit too because the pace of game is better, but it's going to cause, to me, there's still going to be issues with that even because some of the great moments in baseball would have been lost to the pitch clock. You probably don't remember Kirk Gibson. I've used this example a couple of times. Kirk Gibson hitting a home run in the 88 World Series when he basically had no legs. He had a bad hamstring on one leg and a bad knee on the other. The only bat he had of the World Series. They were expected to get swept by the A's, who were a great team. And it was almost as dramatic at bats in baseball history, but it took forever because between every pitch he had to gather himself. And this was a time you want baseball to slow down. There are times you want baseball to slow down. The whole thing with standing ovations. You're going to have to how are you going to notify the league when you're going to have a standing ovation? I don't know if this is a joke or not, but that's a spontaneous thing. You don't say, well, tomorrow we're going to have a standing ovation for Aaron Judge when he returns from the IL. It's ridiculous. And the shift, the whole problem with baseball is if you teach the guys to play the game the way it's supposed to be played, you don't need these rules. Yeah. You don't need them. And again, I know you're a little newer to the game. I've ran it because I'm very old school, and
I can tell.
I'm the old guy telling the kids get off his lawn all the time,
So, question for you on that one, though. So, obviously, there's a big thing to kind of lean towards getting more people down to minor league baseball and kind of the B leagues.
Yep.
Would you keep your major league the same, your 9 innings and everything like that, long-winded game, and to get people more interested? Because that's what the sport's trying to do. They're trying to get more people down there. They want to hit. They want to see more home runs. They want to see bigger scores. Would you shorten that down to a 5 innings game?
Never. A game was played one way for 150 years. We don't need to change it. Even the pitch clock, which I've come around to a little bit, as I said, there are rules in the book to keep the game moving along. They just want to take the onus off the umpires.
But they're trying to get new people. I see what they're trying to do, because we've had the same thing with cricket, where we've moved to a 20 over league now.
But I don't want to watch 10-8 games every night. I mean, it's okay to get that. Home runs are fine, but the three ultimate outcomes. I'm probably saying that wrong. Strikeout, walk, and home run. It's boring baseball. It's boring. It's impossible to watch that night after night after night. Now, I know the shift was supposed to eliminate some of that, but look, I can eliminate the shift just by teaching guys to hit the ball where guys are not. That's kind of the object of the game. I mean, it's not that hard. Tony Gwynn, go shift on Tony Gwynn. He would have hit 500,
Yeah.
That's why they didn't shift.
I just think that they're trying to get new people in the league. And I know there's a massive thing around minor league as well, because there's no one showing up for any minor league baseball.
Why does it have to be at my expense? That's what I want to know. I'm a selfish guy as well, apparently. So I understand that. I do understand that. But, you just can't diametrically change the way the game is played, which they're doing right and left, and at the expense of the pitchers, by the way. Again, another thing I rant on. Basically, every rule change the major leagues have made since 1968 have been to the detriment of pitchers.
Because they want higher scoring games.
I agree, but go play Madden baseball, or not Madden baseball, but go play, MLB the Chase or whatever the hell they call it. You want those games? Go play a video game. I don't want to watch a video game.
Yeah.
A well-played 2-1 game is exciting baseball if it's played the right way.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because old school on cricket as well. I love a good 5-day test.
Yeah,
sit there, watch it all, and they're eliminating that because fans aren't turning up, or fans aren't watching it on TV, should I say?
And again, I know I don't know. I just think baseball continues to get in its own way, and I don't think it will bring in new fans, maybe. But are they going to be long-term fans? Are they going to be long-term fans like me and never go away and root for their team, win or lose, year in and year out for 50 years? Probably not.
I think the push is for the Olympics, isn't it? That's what they're pushing for, to be.
Well, yeah, it was an Olympic sport before. Listen, I found a WBC, by the way, really good. I love that format. I love the baseball that got played there. And those guys are playing for no money, and they're playing hard, and they're happy to be there. I love watching that. And again, they didn't put any of these new rules into place either. I saw some other stupid rules, by the way, that where is that? Let me see if I have that up here somewhere. They were talking about, now supposedly this writer, it's from the Athletic, to give the guy credit, Grant Grisby. He found a picture from somebody's laptop in 2015, which had all these proposed rule changes on it. And he had a picture of it, and it listed things that have come to fruition. He doesn't know, whose it was. It just got sent to him, he says, by an anonymous source. So the pace of the game improvements were pitch timer, which has happened. Limitations on manager coach mound visits, it's happened. Limitations on pickoffs, by the way, which is another stupid rule, right? I can only throw over once, really, because now if I throw over a second time, I'm just giving a guy second base. You might just move him to second base. Time limit for activity between a batch, which is obviously tied to the pitch timer. Start extra innings with a runner on base. Another stupid rule, by the way. You change the game entirely when you do that. Now, one that hasn't come that's on here is a mercy rule. What are we, like 8?
I disagree with that. I disagree with that in all sports.
I mean, I've seen teams come back from 10-0 down. Mercy.
And sometimes it's good to get beat 10-0.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with 8-year-olds getting beat that way, because learning how to lose is as important in life as learning how to win. And that's what sports is good for. We don't care about that anymore. No pitch intentional walks. That's come to fruition. Offensive production. Raise the strike zone to the top of the knees. Of course, we want to hurt the pitchers more. That hasn't happened. Limit the number of roster spots allocated to pitchers. That's happened. Which is okay because, again, I don't really want to see a parade of, 8 pitchers in a game either. Limit defensive shifts. That's happened. Here's one I really hate, and I hope it never happens. But all these other things are happening. I got to believe MLB wants these other things. Allow the managers to reset the batting lineup in the 9th inning. What? Oh, come on. Let's just play 3-guy baseball, and we don't have to worry about that. We'll have the same lineup every inning. Offensive production. I said that. Instant replay. Move the. We saw this. Anyway, this is Major League Baseball, and this is what's wrong. These rules that diametrically change the way the game is played. Rob Manfred has got to go. Starting my petition again.
And I was always a big fan of American sports. This way, because they always moved with the times in terms of the rules. The NFL, I think, are really good at that.
Let me see. I got Scott. Scott's got a bunch I missed here. Let's see. Oh, this is for you, I think. You picked the Yankees. Oh my God, what a disaster. Scott's obviously a big Red Sox fan. By the way, Scott, I picked your team to finish last, and you should thank me because the last time I picked them to finish last, they won a division. So look at my Red Sox sweeping the Blue Jays. Gotcha. They're playing well. I've won 6 in a row, right? I think, Scott, if I'm not mistaken. Carlton Fisk's 1975 World Series 2 would never have happened with these new rules. Great point. Because of the runner on second base, probably. And even, I don't know, even maybe the pitch clock. By the way, Scott, I want to let you know, at the end of the month, I'll have an interview with Dick Drago, who was one of the stars of that Red Sox team in 1975, coming out of the bullpen. And I'm sure that Scott remembers his name. So Keith's Inner Carlos is going to come out soon. Not my Inner Carlos, my Inner Carlos defensive mode. I better not have an Inner Carlos, or I'm going to have to get psychiatric help. Mercy rolls if teams are 3 tight down by 3. No, I don't think it was that, but good grief. I'll take Aaron Judge. Yeah, that's what will happen. That's what would happen if Aaron Judge made the last out in the 8th inning. With the reset, Aaron Judge could lead off the 9th inning, and that's just stupid. 6 in a row. And what else you got here, Scotty? Great. Drago was really good that year. Good morning. That's Keith and Alec with me. That's okay. That's my dad and my stepmom probably. So it's Alec with me today. Scott's just making the comments. Alec Simpson, tell us a little bit about what you do on Let's Talk Sports and what you're involved with, Alec.
Yeah, so I got involved with Dan back end of I think it was like October time. I did a few stuff with it, so I'm a big fan of the 49ers faithful, so big shout out to Paul Hope and everything that they do over here. So they have kind of a podcast. I did a few with them, and then Paul was like, "Oh, jump on with Dan." So I did a bit with Dan on Let's Talk Sport, and then Dan was like, "Do you want your own show?" I was like, "Meh." He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll sort it all out. You don't have to do anything." And then that's just gone. So Monday nights, 9 p.m. in the UK, so it's like 4 p.m. your guys' time, and at the moment doing loads of flag football. Flag football, yeah.
Is that big in the UK or?
Yeah, it's getting really, really big in the UK. They're driving it. I've had a few GP Great Britain players on as well, so they're really pushing for it to be an Olympic sport. So it's a really good show. Yeah, really. I had the GB 8-time world champion women's wide receiver on, talking about, because the women's game is probably a little bit bigger than the men's game in the UK, just because of men tend to go and play flag and then go and play contact.
Yeah.
So the women's game is slightly bigger. So do that and then hop on a few other shows as well. Do a couple of shows with Alan whenever he wants. Talk Cowboys, 49ers. Just whenever Dan needs me, he gives me a shout. So shout out to Dan.
I will give you a piece of advice. Keep rooting for one team. Don't do this whole Allen thing where I got a backup team just in case my other team doesn't do well. Of course, both his baseball teams are going to stink. I keep telling him that. But
You'll never move me away from the 49ers. I've been a 49ers fan for way too long. Not seen a Super Bowl yet, but
I don't root for teams. I might root for stories. I might root for, a certain player a little bit if my team's not playing, but I only root for my teams, and that's it. I mean, and I don't root against, I do root against teams. I shouldn't say that. My persona here, I try to be rational and not use my heart when it comes to talking about my team or maybe my hatred of the Jets, let's say. I try to talk, honestly about how I feel. And the Jets and Giants are both on the rise, and I don't like it, but it's true. And I don't know.
No, I don't think the Giants are. I think the Giants will fall flat this season.
Why is that?
I just do. I think it was just one of those seasons on the up. I don't think Daniel Jones is a great quarterback, or the money they've paid him. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
I think Scott mistook. We got Carlos, the inner Carlos coming out of Alec now because but he's not a Giant fan. Carlos wanted to blow up the whole team. He said, "Don't sign Jones, don't sign Barkley, don't sign anybody." Well, then you might as well just start all over. Nobody's going to do that. I think they need to surround him with better weapons. I do think he's a very serviceable NFL quarterback.
But he's not going to win him a Super Bowl.
Well, guys worse than Daniel Jones that won Super Bowls, though. Trent Dilfer.
Joe Flacco.
Good point. I'm trying to think of a 49 quarterback. I guess they're almost won with Colin Kaepernick.
Yep, Jimmy G. Almost won.
You know what? Actually, it's a good point, since I'll throw that out. I don't know what time we got here. We got a few minutes. Colin Kaepernick. Were you a fan then?
Yeah. So I've been a fan since J.T. O'Sullivan was my first quarterback.
My theory on Kaepernick, now obviously brought his own problems upon him. I don't have a problem with what he did, whatever. I mean, keep politics off it, but I'm able to separate the two things. I really am.
Yeah.
And I do believe that if Colin Kaepernick could play, Colin Kaepernick would be in the league. If some team thought he could help them, he'd be in the league.
100%. 100%. You could, even you as his agent, Keith, could get him a job tomorrow in the NFL if he wanted to play.
Sounds like a backhanded compliment there. I'm not sure. If he could play, he'd play. Listen, this is a league full of murderers and women abusers and guys toting guns everywhere and driving like maniacs. You think this guy's being kept out of football because he kneeled during the national anthem? I don't think so, even a little bit.
I also think there's a bit of him that doesn't want to play.
That's a good point.
Because you look at the leagues he could have gone and played in, and especially you got the XFL he could have played in. You had the American League 2 seasons ago he could have gone and played in. Like if he really, really wanted to go and play football, go and play football.
I think he likes this martyr persona that he's taken on myself. Yeah. And again, the people point out, well, he had a great year there when I went to the Super Bowl. That was a tricked up offense, and the league caught up with a pistol pretty quick.
Yeah,
and I think that's why he fell on his face afterwards. He just wasn't accurate enough.
We had a bad team as well. When we got rid of Jim Harbaugh and we blew it all up, we had a bad team. So,
yeah, I agree. What other sports do you follow? Do you follow the basketball at all?
Follow a bit of the basketball. I'm not a great basketball fan. Follow the Warriors, Golden State Warriors. Again, 49ers, San Francisco. Pulled one back last night. They're
a great story. Coming back and beating the Kings, young Kings team that I thought was going to take them out. But, they've got the heart of the champion. The champion's the champion until you knock them out. And just because you got them down doesn't mean a thing. And now they may come out of the West now.
I think the Lakers will win it in 5.
You do?
Yeah.
I think they get out of this, maybe in 7 games. But to me, the team out West that is surprising me, the Nuggets, who have been perennial disappointments in the playoffs, now got a 2-0 lead on the Suns, who I did like when we started this playoff series coming out of the West. They're finally starting to play up to their headlines.
I think your favorites are the Boston Celtics, though, aren't they? They've got to be, I think, their favorites.
Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan, and we're playing with house money. That was going to be one of the topics because Carlos loves to bash Thibodeau and everything Knicks, but the Knicks are playing with house money. I said before the year, if they made the playoffs and won a series, they're making progress, and that would have been a good season. Now they've got a very good chance to get to the conference final. Even with the bad game they played in Game 1, they played really well in Game 2, I thought, defensively especially. And I like this team I'd like them to get to the championship. in the East, but it's going to be very tough for them to beat either Boston or Philadelphia. So,
who's your final?
My finals. I had the Suns and Bucks originally when we started. Bucks obviously threw a big monkey wrench into that. I will say I'll stick with the Suns. I'll say they'll come back and win this series. I don't have a great faith, but I'll stay with my pick. And I guess I'll regroup. And I like Philadelphia just because I'm not sure if Embiid is healthy enough. I think Philadelphia might come out of this and get a little further. They haven't gotten to a final, and I can't remember when. They haven't got to an East final since 2001, I think. So, but I think this might be their year. I do think that if they don't win, I think Doc Rivers will probably be moving on, and there'll be some big changes in Philadelphia.
I heard that. A couple of my friends are massive NBA fans, and they were kind of saying they'll blow it up if they don't make it.
I wouldn't doubt it. The only guy who probably will stay will be Embiid. I don't think they'll move him, but he needs to stay healthy, and he needs to come up big in these spots, and he hasn't really done that in his career. He's been a great player. Obviously, he got the MVP, so he's obviously a great player. But
it'd be interesting to see what the Lakers do if they don't make it past Golden State.
That team just never felt right. Even when they won a championship that first year, the COVID year in the bubble, it just never felt like that team was put together right. And that was an aberration. I think you saw last year what happened there. And then this year got off to a bad start, and they did recover nicely. But it will be interesting. I mean, LeBron might be moving on again. Who knows? I don't know what his contract situation is, but I do think they probably go in a different direction. This might be the last year for this group for sure. Win or lose, it's possible LeBron wants to play with his kids, so he's going to hang on. But I guess he wants to make sure he's a free agent whenever Bronny's coming out of college. He's thinking out a life of his own too, Bronny. We don't even know how he can play.
I'd say I don't watch too much college basketball either. So we struggle in the UK for college basketball.
You don't get it?
Well, we don't get it. I think it's on a couple of channels, but again, you have to really hunt for it.
And that's a shame because it's a much better game than the NBA. It really is. College basketball is a really good game. It's college football too. College football, do you get over there?
Not at all. We get kind of one primetime game on a Saturday, and then probably another one. You get two on a Saturday, but that's it. Probably
the ABC game or whatever, ESPN maybe.
Yeah. We don't get other than that. And then with the NFL, I just pay for a subscription every year
for the ticket. How's that with YouTube? Have you re-upped yet? Now that they've moved to YouTube, do you think it's going to be better or worse, the ticket?
For us, it's just going to go up in price. They'll just keep jacking the price up for us.
You'll think it'll be the same. I don't know what they're doing. It's going to be still the same setup? Are they going to do any a la carte stuff? Do you know? Have you heard anything about their offerings?
No. So what they have done this season is they've divided it up where you can pay just for your team.
Yeah.
So you can pay one team. One team. Yeah. Cool. Which again, I don't know why you do. I think you just wouldn't do it for me.
I wouldn't either. I mean, I like to go out. I go out when the games are during the day. I go out and watch it with my buddies anyway. So that's our time to get together during the year is for football, 1:00 on Sundays. But I wouldn't. I had a ticket years ago, and I don't think I'd get it again. To me, the red zone's much better. I love the red zone. If the Patriots aren't playing, I'm watching the red zone.
Yeah,
exactly. I love the red zone channel. So, all right, Alec, we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate you coming on and help me fill some time here today. And not have to waste all my topics I was going to scream and yell at Carlos about. So,
save this for Saturday.
Now and again. And I appreciate you following the show as closely as you do. And I've caught yours, and you're doing some good stuff. So keep it up.
Yeah, trying to. Appreciate it. I'll drop out. I'll leave you to it.
All right. Have a great. What day is it? Friday. Have a great Friday.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. So Alex Simpson, who's been a loyal follower of this show for a while and got hooked by Dan Harris, like a lot of people have, to share content to Let's Talk Sports. So thanks for him coming on this morning and helping us fill the void a little bit with Carlos out at a school function today. Nothing wrong with Carlos, just, family obligations. So sometimes those happen. And, we'll be back Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness show. As I said, we'll have what are we going to have coming up? I think we'll probably do a college sports huddle next week because there's some news to catch up on. So I think we'll do that next Thursday. God willing, we'll have our interview with Delvin Williams, which I'll do during the week, and it'll air on Thursday at 6. And of course, Sunday Stream of Consciousness on Sunday, which is my favorite show because you guys drive the content. We have a lot of fun on that show, and I look forward to seeing you guys Sunday. Have a great day. Friday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.